because we're doing a top 10 list. Doing a top 10. The top 10 variations. That's right. I asked all you guys to vote on your favorite variations when it comes to the action. Okay, no, I didn't. I just made up 10 of them. Or picked up 10 of them. So let's go with what I think is the 10 best variations when it comes to action figures that you will ever find. Got them all right here. It took me forever to write them down, but I got them right here. Let's go with number 10. We're going all the way back to the 80s with the vintage HeMan collection. Did you even know this one? The HeMan figure, you could get it with a rubber head or a hard head. I know a lot of hard heads, but I don't know any HeMan hard head. As a kid, I only knew about the soft one. I think it was later in the run when they made his head solid. I don't know why. I always like to squeeze in his little head. Didn't you squeeze his head? I used to love squeezing their heads. All of them, not just HeMan. Well, not all of them. Not that robot guy, but, you know, if I could, I would squeeze their head. Don't pop their head off. Their heads were hard to get back on. You could take the arms off, swip them around. But, it was hard getting those heads back on. But number 10, plastic head, hard head, HeMan. You heard it here first. HeMan is hard-headed. What do we have next? From Todd Toys, or McFarlane Toys. Let's go all the way back to the first series. And I could have done a whole video on all the variations for Spawn toys. Almost every figure has a variation. But let's go back with one that really got people stirred up and crazy. Spawn, the Spawn figure from the Spawn line, with a mask or without a mask. I can remember hunting, trying to find that without a mask. It looked good on display, but I wanted it because everybody else wanted it. I don't know why. I just like, oh my God, everybody's talking about the mask, the one without mask, I got to get it. And I think there's actually 2 versions of the mask without. I think there's 4 variations of this at all. But it was a big hunt back in the 90s. Spawn with mask or without mask. Now, I believe no, I have to say the head comes off, but you can switch them out. No, I was wrong. Sorry, it's been a long time. But that's right there. Where we at? Ooh, look at here. Number 4, one of my personal favorites from the Kenner Robin Hood collection. I have a whole collection of those figures. They were the last vintage. I know they're 90s, but they really remind me of the last vintage Kenner era. Because, you know, they're kind of like Star Wars, got the scene on it and everything. They look really cool. But what's the variation here? There's 2 different ones. Both have to do with Robin Hood. You could get Robin Hood with a Kevin Costner head, or the earlier release, non-Costner head. This was before they had the rights to Kevin Costner and they made the figure. Didn't look like Kevin Costner, and then they went back and said, okay, he'll let us do it. And they remade the figure, and no one really cared. I remember finding this back in the 90s when I was buying Robin Hood figures. The toy magazines didn't talk about it. Nobody talked about it. I was all excited about it. Look at this. 2 different heads. I had the internet. I didn't know. Well, I had the internet, but I couldn't figure out why their heads were different. And no one was talking about it. And they're not really worth anything now. But you know how it goes. Ooh. This is another one from the 90s. I remember trying to track down. Me and my buddy Russ been trying to find this one. And then we found it. You had 2 ones. You had Invisible Woman from the Toy Biz collection. Painted or clear. Painted was the hard one to find until we walked into a Big Lots one day and found about 20 of them each. And we loaded up on them because the guy at the comic book store down the road said he would pay us like $20 a piece for them. And then we got them. He's like, you found that many? I don't want that many. And bought like 2 of them. But we found a load of them. They also did a Human Torch that sparkled and one that didn't sparkle. Well, shoot sparks, but that's not on my list there. So there's a bonus for you right there. You got a bonus. You didn't even know it. But Invisible Woman, painted or clear. But although that painted one looked horrible. It looked like Grace Randolph. But the Invisible one, I always like clear figures. So that's pretty cool right there. So I'm doing some bad throwing tonight. You know, you got... I'll cheat, man. Okay, where we at now? Ooh, look at this one. This one is the one. This is probably one of the biggest variations since Blue Snaggletooth. Can you count that as a variation? Is Red Snaggletooth a variation, or is Blue Snaggletooth? Blue came first, so Red's the variation. But Blue was the wrong one. So is he a variation? I just see them as 2 different figures. Where we at? Oh. R5D4. Whew. This is the one you would make you mad because you would go buy R5D4 and then find out there's a variant that makes it better. You're like, oh my God, why did I get this one? Yep, R5D4 with the red mark or the not colored in red mark. Oh, don't you hate when you get that white mark instead of the red one or the not colored in? Crazy. One of the best variations of all time right there. Where are we at now? Let me see. Oh, this is one I remember in the 90s people talking about. Would get you an extra $10 in your pocket if you found it. For The Last Action Hero. Remember that movie? The Last Action Hero. There's a bad guy who came with a briefcase. And if you didn't open it, and you can find it on the card, you can find it with an open briefcase or a closed briefcase. I don't know why they did this. There wasn't nothing in the briefcase that was like spoiler or anything, I don't think. I think there were some stickers to make eyeball eyes out of, but other than that, but I can remember back in the 90s in the watch section of the toy magazines, investment section, they were like, get this one. This one's going to put your kids in college. Now it's worth about 92 cents. Graded. Where are we at now? Oh, look at this right here. This is one I didn't know about at the time. And I should have if I read the back of a package. Didn't know about this one right here. Geordi LaForge from the Star Trek Playmates line had removable visor. The first one released had a removable visor. And you couldn't tell that by looking at the front of the package, but on the back of the package actually had instructions on how to take his visor off. And then they worried about he would choke a kid. The kid don't play with Geordi LaForge figures. But they glued it in, took off the instructions, and I never had a Geordi LaForge with a removable visor. Thanks a lot, little kids eat plastic. Where are we at now? Woohoo. This is another one I can remember being hot in the toy magazines at the time and kind of dropped off and no one cares about it anymore. Sequest. Remember that? Sequest from Playmates? Get this, guys. Sequest had a bad guy. I don't forget his name. He looked like a cowboy. He looked like a cartoon. He didn't really fit in with the rest of the figures. He looked like a cartoon. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, on the package, it said he came with a gun. But the first release said he came with a goon. Yep. I was like, oh, it's like I got a job at Playmates. Had to pause for y'all to laugh right there. I didn't want y'all to pause the video, so I just paused for the laugh. But it's the cartoon-looking bad guy from Sequest, Goon, or Gun variant. You remember that dolphin? The dolphin was hard to find at one time. I remember everybody was crazy about that dolphin. Right there, Sequest 9D9. Larry, you get hungry again?
Sorry, I had some peanut butter and I needed to dip something in it.
Number two. I could have done this in a small, but the small one was kind of an exclusive, so I did kind of as a variant. So we're going to go to the 10-inch Toy Biz X-Men line of Wolverine, Spy Wolverine. You could get him in a blue or a black. Let me see. Oh yeah, blue or black. I didn't look at the computer. I looked at my card. I got it right here on the card. Blue or black variant. Number one. I'm not gonna throw it because somewhere I didn't grab enough cards. So I got number one written right here. Number one. You can go back to the most popular toy line of the 90s, without a doubt. Captain Planet. And there was a toy figure that was only released in the UK. I don't know why we didn't get him in the US. His name was Duke Nukem. Wait, that's a video game. Maybe that's why we didn't get him in the U.S. Because we in the U.S. know a different Duke Nukem. But there seem to be two different versions here. One has him in a cool looking clothes outfit and everything, like some Hawaiian outfit. Very cool. The other one's plain and simple outfit. But it glows in the dark. So that's always a plus right there. Don't you love glow in the dark? I remember glow in the dark stuff when I was little. You buy it, take it home, turn the light off, it glow in the dark. And then somewhere in the 90s, you had to hold it up to a light bulb for like 10 minutes first to get it to glow. I don't know what happened to glow-in-the-dark paint between 1979 and 1989, but something happened because we never put ours against the light, or maybe the world was just brighter back then and we didn't have to.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.